trial for Kouri Richins is underway, and in this video I'm going to cover some of the most polarizing moments in this case. The opening statements to the body cam footage the night of her husband Eric's death. Welcome to Criminal Motives. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer. I'm a therapist and I give my thoughts and reactions to events that are happening in true crime. That being said, let's get this episode started. Before we get started, I want to give a quick trigger warning for themes of death and dying, betrayal trauma, and domestic violence. That being said, if that's something that you're struggling with and you're considering therapy, this is the reason why I partnered with BetterHelp. If you go to the links in the description box down below, you can connect with a licensed therapist through BetterHelp. The best part about it is that you can do it from the comfort and convenience of your home. When you use the links in the description box down below, you'll get 15% off your first month of therapy. If you are struggling, just know that you're not alone, so connect with a BetterHelp therapist today.
Net Levy, and this is Crime Fix. It's been nearly 4 years since Eric Richins died at his home in Summit County, Utah. It was shocking. Eric was a 39-year-old man, a husband and a father, and he died in the middle of the night in his sleep. It was a mystery, but later prosecutors said Eric died from an overdose of fentanyl. But there was a problem with that, according to Eric's family and friends. Eric didn't use illegal drugs, and he certainly didn't take fentanyl. It took more than a year of investigation before police and prosecutors would say Eric's wife, Kouri Richins, murdered him by poisoning him with fentanyl by spiking his drink. But Kouri says that's a lie. For a little background, Kouri's case gained some notoriety because of the irony of it all. A year after Eric's death, Kouri released a children's book entitled "Are You With Me?" to help her sons cope with the loss of their dad. 2 months later, she was charged and accused of killing their father by spiking his Moscow Mule. Since that time, Kouri Richins and her legal team have been embroiled in a contentious legal battle with prosecutors. Those prosecutors claim Kouri had tried to poison Eric less than a month before he died on Valentine's Day 2022, and they claim she murdered Eric, believing she would inherit his money and life insurance policy to pay off hard money loans she had taken out to fund her dream of becoming a house-flipping reality TV star. And prosecutors say Kouri had a lover. But Kouri and her team say she and Eric may have had their problems, but they worked through them and they were in love. So let's get into it. The trial is underway and it began on Monday, February 23rd with opening statements. Let's start with the state. Here's lead prosecutor Brad Bloodworth.
The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins murdered Eric for his money and to get a fresh start at life. More than anything, she wanted his money to perpetuate her facade of privilege, affluence, and success. Kouri Richins owned a house flipping business. She would purchase, rehab, and resell homes. She presented herself to friends and business associates as remarkably successful. The evidence will prove that on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins owed over $4.5 million to over 20 different lenders. And she did not have the ability to service that debt because her bank accounts were exhausted and her credit was exhausted. She had been taking out new loans to include payday loans to service existing loans, but her new credit was drying up. In the 5 months leading to Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins overdrafted over 200 transactions, totaling over $300,000.
Bloodworth went on to tell the jury that Kouri was living a lie.
And on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins was scheduled to close on an unfinished and derelict mansion in Midway and thus take on an additional $3.2 million in debt. She did not have the financial ability to service that debt, to rehab the mansion, or to hold on to it long enough to resell it. The mansion may appear impressive from a distance, but upon close inspection, it is just a facade. On the other hand, on the day that Eric died, his estate was worth over $4 million. And the evidence will prove that Kouri Richins believed she would inherit it all. She believed that she would inherit Eric's $2 million interest in a stonemasonry business, an interest that a prenuptial agreement prevented her from getting any part of if they divorced, but permitted her to get all of if Eric died while they were married.
So I think the prenup is going to be pretty big in this trial. So something that is not really talked about, not only in this case, but just in commentary with this case, is that Eric was previously married, and with his now ex-wife, his ex-wife left him for a coworker. She cheated on him. So Eric's been through the ringer before. Now, I don't know the details of his previous divorce, but I'm assuming that she may have gotten something, or he's at least learned a lesson that, quote unquote, love isn't forever. People who have gone through bad breakups and things that know what I'm talking about when someone says like they're going to be a little bit more careful, especially someone who has a lot of assets like Eric to protect. And it's common knowledge that someone who has a lot of assets feels like they might be a bit of a target for someone who might be a gold digger and those sorts of things. So the way that the prenup was written up was that the only way that the person that he's married to, in this situation, obviously Kouri, would be able to get anything would be that they were still lawfully married. Now, keep that in mind when you're listening for not only in the rest of the argument, but also as we kind of break down this case. Because a lot of people ask, well, why didn't she just get a divorce, right? And I think that that in most situations and most scenarios, people, whenever they get a divorce, obviously there's child support involved and there's alimony in a lot of situations if someone is more of a moneyed spouse. In this situation, none of those things were going to happen. This was going to be, you're getting nothing, especially because she was leaving for another lover, which we're going to get into here in a second. But she had to be lawfully married. And so the only way for her to receive anything or anything significant, I don't know the rest of the details of the prenuptial agreement, but anything significant to be able to cover some of those other things. So this is one of the reasons why they said that not only was this about a fresh start, but this was also about her covering her finances, because she didn't have the assets to be able to cover the payments for these loans and for the houses that she has.
She believed that she would inherit the $1 million or so dollar home that they lived in, but that Eric owned separate and apart from her. And
I also want to add to that. That's also the reason why she needed the life insurance money, because the money that she was going to get from just his business and those sorts of things still wouldn't cover everything. So you're going to hear in these opening statements that she didn't take out one life insurance policy. She took out six life insurance policies. And one of those life insurance policies was deemed to be fraudulent. And another one should have been deemed fraudulent, but I think that it got corrected in time to where it was fixed. And so it wasn't deemed fraudulent because it was actually in the life insurance policy that I'm talking about was a work insurance policy that was specified for Eric's work partner. So if in the event that something ever happened to him, that his business partner wouldn't be left on the hook. And so she went in and she went online and changed the beneficiary from the business partner to herself. And once the insurance broker recognized it, alerted both Eric and the business partner, and then changed it back to the business partner. So that was another insurance scheme that she tried that didn't work, but that on top of all the 6 that she already took out. So it's very clear that money was a motive here, on top of some of the other things that we're going to get into. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in this video.
She believed that she would benefit from nearly $2 million in insurance on Eric's life, to include the $100,000 policy that she took out a few weeks before he died.
Brad Bloodworth also told the jury about Kouri Richins' boyfriend.
9 days after the charged attempted murder, 1 week before the charged murder, Kouri Richins text messaged her boyfriend, "I have a crazy dream. You quit your job, I divorce and come up with millions and millions. We buy Midway and live in the guest house and rent out the huge house as a big event center. $15,000 a day like they charge down the road, maybe $12,000 to stay competitive. And we will just run the event center as our daily job."
Talking money again. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand money is important, but this is her making long-term plans with her lover. Talking about, so Midway is the mansion, is one of the main properties that she was about to purchase, that she was hoping was at the time of these text messages, was hoping that they were going to be able to close on this deal. This was one of the main properties that she was anticipating to flip. But you can hear her in these text messages that she was sending, hoping and anticipating that she was going to be able to rebuild her life pretty quickly, in anticipation of insurance money, of all these different schemes that she had going. One of the things the reason why I bring this up is that one of the things I always tell people is that behavior always tells on people. Point blank period. People can lie, right? But your behavior, how you respond and how you react, right, is always going to tell on you every single time. And this behavior, the language that she's using, the anticipation that she has, is really telling of an event that's about to happen. And then and I'm going to get into this here in a second, but when you look at the behavior after Eric's death, and we're also going to show some of the body cam footage of the 911 call, even during, you can see her behavior. You can see the demeanor. Now, yes, it is true that everyone reacts very differently to someone passing away. People react very differently to grief. That's very true. But even with that being said, there's a certain range that people have when it comes to someone's passing, when it comes to the way that they react and the way that they respond, versus someone who is excited about someone's death, who was anticipating, who kind of knew, who may have participated in it. And this is the behavior leading up to this, with the life insurance, with the fraud, with the changing of the beneficiaries, of the sneaking around, is very telling of someone who is anticipating a death, right? Not just someone who is planning, right? There's always a level of planning whenever you're married, in the event that something happens. This isn't planning for, just in case something happens, because that's something that you would have a conversation with your spouse or your significant other, right? These are things that are happening in the shroud of secrecy.
And hang out every day, raise some kids, have a little farm, deal? Just over 2 weeks after Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins text messaged her boyfriend a link to the secret St. Martin's Resort and Spa in the Caribbean and asked, "Are we there yet?" One month and 5 days after Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins texted, "I think I want you to be my husband one day."
And there were text messages that Bloodworth said detectives found on Kouri's phone that showed she was up to something nefarious.
She got a new phone. And on that new phone, there were the following internet searches. Can cops uncover deleted messages iPhone? Can you delete everything off an old iPhone without actually having it? Can deleted text messages be retrieved from an iPhone? How to completely wipe an iPhone clear remotely? How to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely? On April the 13th, 2022, about 5 weeks after Eric Richins' death, detectives informed Kouri Richins that the autopsy and toxicology results show that Eric died of fentanyl poisoning. Thereafter, searches on her phone include if someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as?
So prosecutors say that Kouri's motive for murder was very simple. She was in debt. She needed money and had a boyfriend on the side. The defense painted a much different picture of Kouri Richins for the jury.
Before we get into the defense opening statements, some of the things I want to point out. So a lot of what Attorney Bloodworth just mentioned was after Eric's death, right? So we have three different elements of post Eric's death that really exhibit and tell and is a tell with Kouri's not only behavior, but demeanor and also mindset. She's planning a month out. She's planning vacations with her lover. She's obviously very concerned with what people can find on her iPhone. Very concerned with if she can wipe things clean from her phone remotely. I would anticipate that if someone had just recently lost a significant other, a spouse, those sorts of things. I'm not saying that you have to, that you can't live your life at all, but I would think, especially with having 3 children, you would probably have a lot to do. There would probably be a lot of loose ends that you need to tie up. There would probably, your life is likely going to be far more overwhelmed to be far too overwhelmed to plan out a trip to the Caribbean. Far too overwhelmed to worry about what your Google search history looks like. Right? Those likely should be the last things that are on your mind if you don't have anything to hide, or if you don't have anything to worry about, or if you didn't have something that was already planned in the makings. So the defense is obviously going to have an argument here. Now, keep in mind, this is their job. I don't see where they actually have an argument, though. You know, obviously, it's innocent until proven guilty, but it's very difficult to see where they might have an argument. But let's get into what they have to say.
Kouri's defense attorney, Kathy Nestor, conceded in her opening that Kouri and Eric's marriage was far from perfect, but she said Kouri was no murderer.
Eric and Kouri adored their boys. They were their world. They were in that place that those of us who've had kids have all been in, where you spend your days driving them around to soccer and all their activities, and they're just the center of your world. And that's how both of these parents felt about their kids. They loved them a lot. And what's more important is that the boys adored their father, adored them, adored him. And Kouri knew that about her sons and about her family. Their marriage had survived through some rough times, and you're going to hear about that. Like any marriage, it wasn't a perfect marriage. They'd gone through a really bad year where they'd both contemplated divorce, and they did what a lot of couples do. They went to marriage counseling, they worked it out, and they decided to stick it out, and they did.
Kathy Nestor then told the jury about what the defense believes is a key weakness in the state's case, the medical examiner's determination regarding Eric Richins' death.
His death certificate reads that the manner of his death is still unknown to this day. You're going to hear testimony that a medical examiner has the ability to declare the manner of someone's death. It can be homicide, it can be suicide, it can be accidental overdose, it can be murder.
So we're going to hear from the medical examiner that's going to specify the reasons why she selected unspecified. And it's not for the reasons that is mentioned in this statement. Now, one of the reasons why I want to bring this out is that this attorney is not Kouri's original attorney. So the original attorney, her name was Sky Lazaro, who recused herself from the case. She said there was an ethical issue for the reasons why she couldn't stay on the case. But one of the things that's happening here is that the defense is trying to outline and trying to make it seem like Kouri was just a mother. I talked about this in another video where she's just a mother, trying to make her relatable, not only relatable, and that's part of a defense, a defense's strategy, but they're doing something where what I call, and I don't, if you're an attorney, you can mention this in the comment section down below, but what I call falling on the sword, where they make it seem like they just, they were just an average, normal couple who had their struggles, weren't perfect or anything like that. And the things that they're seeing are normal couple stuff that any and every couple goes through, and they just happen, Kouri and Eric just happen to go through the same things. And this is just all coincidence. It's not coincidence. Right. No one takes out 6 life insurance policies on someone. Someone doesn't happen to have like an extreme allergic reaction to eating a sandwich 1 week, and then 2 weeks later they're dead, and all from fentanyl. And there's too many things that are absolute non-coincidental for them to be coincidental. But let's get back into it.
It can be anything. To this day, the medical examiner, the professional that's the head of declaring how people die in the state of Utah, has never been able to determine the manner of Eric Richins' death.
Now, there are 5 manners of death: natural, accidental, undetermined, suicide, and homicide. Nestor told the jury that Kouri didn't hide anything from police the night that Eric died.
You're going to hear that before Eric's body was even taken out of their bedroom, Kouri was told the body was going to a morgue for an autopsy. So within an hour of the cops getting there, she knew there was going to be an autopsy of his body. And what happens when you have an autopsy? You figure out how someone died. That's what doctors do. They test your blood, they test your bodily tissues. So she knew that. But did she tell the police or the medical responders or the EMS, hey guys, you might want to check for fentanyl? My husband used it all the time. Did she do that? Because with one sentence, she could have taken all suspicion off her and made this about a drug overdose. But she didn't. As a matter of fact, she could have staged a whole drug overdose scene with fentanyl pills on his stomach and everything all over the place and say, gosh, I tried to get him in rehab for years and I couldn't. But she didn't. And you know why? Because she told her truth. She told her truth over and over again, and it's exactly what she told that 911 operator that you just heard and you're going to hear over and over at trial. I don't know what happened. Now you're going to hear that Eric Richins' family simply could not accept that. They needed someone or something to blame for losing someone they loved that wasn't Eric himself. There's going to be times in this case where the state is going to discuss facts with certain witnesses, and they're going to show you the witch. And I'm going to take those same facts and those same witnesses, and I'm going to show you a widow.
Now, we've really never heard from Kouri Richins, except when she granted that interview on a local TV station about writing the children's book about grief. But now we are hearing from her thanks to a body-worn camera from police who responded to the Richins' home the night that Eric died.
Okay, will you cue the video again for me?
Kouri told the EMTs trying to revive Eric that he didn't have much of a medical history other than asthma.
I mean, it's Lyme disease, but it's painful sometimes. Medicine for it.
What does he take? What medicine does he take? Can you find it and tell us?
Yeah.
You guys, and him downtime. Denise since we got here. He's had 2 Eppies and Narcan. 2 Eppies, 1 Narcan. Blood sugar is 458. No history. Chest pain when he went to bed.
What's your first name? What's your first name? Yeah, let me talk to you for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened today? When you say we were fine, what time did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What time did you guys go to bed?
9:30.
9:30. Okay.
9:45.
And then what alerted you to him today? Right now.
When I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I always wake up and I go back in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just crawled over on his side.
And he was laying in bed.
So the EMT that's talking, actually testified this week and mentioned that during this moment, Kouri's face was extremely dry. That this was all fake and staged. And you're going to see here in a moment that the EMTs and the authorities, the police, were all very suspicious immediately. You're going to see it right from the body cam. And it's funny, my wife is in the room here with me, and she's actually giving me glances. She has this is her first time hearing the video, and she's giving me looks just based on hearing the whining.
Okay.
He was on his back on the bed, and
Okay. And he was on. You said he was on his back. Okay. Where are your children now?
went to sleep in that room. 2 were awake with their ear to the door. I don't want them to come out. Please don't make them come out.
Where are the other 2 at that are awake?
No, hallway bedroom.
And where's that at?
Right there, first one to your left.
Okay. Is there any family members we can call right now?
Yeah, I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom so bad.
Okay.
I don't know. They went on the phone. I don't know.
Here. Okay.
I call my mom.
Yep. I'll give you a phone right now, okay?
I need to call his dad. He's gonna be okay, right? Like I got in bed and then I just got
they're doing their best, okay, ma'am? Here, you can use my phone.
Mom. Yeah. Go to my house. Go to my house.
What's going on?
I don't know. have girls in here. I don't know what's happening. He wasn't breathing. I don't know. Who? Eric.
Where's she at? Oh, on my way.
My partner found your phone. Is this it right here? Does he have any medical conditions or anything like that?
He has Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease?
So we are seeing Kouri Richins in real time talking to a police officer about Eric Richins' health problems. She says he has Lyme's disease, but no major health issues.
Okay. So no heart problems or anything like that?
No, I mean, he just said his chest was hurting when he went to bed, but that's, I mean, not. And he doesn't drink enough water, you know, when he gets on the bike downstairs. I don't know, it didn't. And then he just said he was really tired because he got his allergy shots yesterday morning.
Okay.
With my son, they went to bed.
And then when did you discover him? What time?
I got my phone. It's maybe 3.
About 3.
3:15.
Did you immediately call the 911?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got up and, as soon as I turned over and he was cold,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like something was wrong. But, I mean, I just put the blanket on it because I just thought it was cold. So I just, and then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like breathing or anything. And
So forensics found out that she didn't immediately call 911, that they were able to test and they were able to see when she unlocked her phone. It was probably 20 or 30 minutes later. And then I believe it was like 20 or 30 minutes later after that she called 911. So there wasn't an immediate rush to call 911. And one of the things I just want to bring out, I think it's very interesting that this is going over several other cases. And if you watch my video on the Caleb case, the case with the pastor / American Idol husband who allegedly shot his wife in the middle of the night, seems like whenever there is a spouse or significant other that is a person of interest or a suspect in one of these cases, they all happen to need to sleep in their children's room the night that these events are happening. And this is another one of those cases that just randomly, her son is having nightmares and got to sleep in the son's room and can't get to my husband till 3 a.m. It seems like this is a very common alibi with these type of cases. Can't be in the room. They're not available. I'm available 364 days out of the year, but that one night just happened to not be around and not be available. So I think that's not something that will really come up in trial, or it's not evidence. I just think that that's another thing that when we look at behavior and compare it to other cases that are similar, I think that's another situation that I find interesting.
Okay.
Alright. And he just felt so heavy.
Mm-hmm. Any COVID or anything like that?
We all just got over COVID.
Okay.
You know,
And when was that?
a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so not recently.
I don't think the ENT is buying her story.
So he just they like had a negative test. So I was the last positive, and then he had it. So his last negative test was a week ago.
Okay. Hey, ma'am, what's your name?
Kouri.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Kouri.
With a C?
Kouri. Gummy. Sometimes he go pick up gummy before he goes to bed.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't seem like you did though.
It's like a gummy, as in like a THC gummy? Okay. And who is his primary care physician?
Herb Lovely in person.
Who?
Herb Lovely.
How do you spell it? How's
P-L-E-Y.
Lepley? When was he last seen?
Just a physical, like at 7:55.
When was that?
6 months, maybe.
His dad. Kids are awake. They're in that door. Yeah, she goes to the left. Yeah, I think the left master bedroom. Or the master bedroom. So basically, she said, went to bed at 9:30. She slept with the kids because then she goes to bed. When she went to bed, around 3 o'clock, moved into her bed. He was cold and heavy. He has Lyme disease. He got an allergy shot yesterday. He might have taken a gummy, THC gummy, last night. So, other than that, just Lyme disease.
I already have dispatch
It's probably gonna be big here.
EMTs on the scene talked about what could have caused Eric's death.
And then you get an aneurysm or something with all the blood. There's a lot of blood for some unknown reason.
Were you first on scene?
We were second. The fire guy was here before us.
And there was blood before you get.
A little bit coming out as soon as we start doing compressions with the Lucas. Is when the blood came out. So.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
No pulse or anything?
No, he was cold. I think he was not a long time, but he's been down a minute. He was asexually the whole time, so.
Okay. All right.
The officer then asked Kouri about Eric's condition when she found him.
And then when you discovered him, was he on the bed? Yes.
He was laying on his side like normal.
Okay.
I just thought he was cold. It was cold in there, so I put the blanket on him.
Yeah.
But his body just felt like heavy, and
And which way was he facing? Was he facing towards?
no, he was just up, just facing up.
Oh, so he's laying on his back.
Facing on his
Okay.
back.
And then did you pull him to the ground?
Yeah, that's what the lady on the phone told me to do,
Okay.
was to take the sheet and pull the sheet
Okay.
to the ground so I could do CPR.
Okay. What's his highest level of education?
It's a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
His man is active. He didn't just die in his sleep. This is insane.
Any mental health conditions? No. Okay.
No.
How about any suicidal
No.
history? No.
Never.
Okay.
No.
Has he been seen by a doctor in the last 30 days?
No.
Okay. Has any prescriptions in the last 30 days? No. Has he had a history of falling or anything? No. Any history of prescription abuse? No.
I mean, no, when he was in high school and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Pain pills, I think.
Or maybe a reaction to his shots yesterday.
He just didn't feel good from them. Like,
He didn't look good last night.
he looked pale last night, and I asked if you're okay, and he said, yeah, but you're saying his chest was hurting, but
The other woman that just entered the room that you hear speaking is Kouri's mother, just so you know. Here in a little bit, you're going to see Eric's sister arrive, and that'll get interesting. I'll have some things to chime in once the sister arrives, but I wanted to make sure you knew the dynamic. One thing about Kouri's mother, I wasn't able to upload the video here onto YouTube, but on my podcast, you can listen to Kouri asked the mother after this event, but asked the mother and her brothers to lie for her. And she wrote a letter to her mother and entitled it "Watch the Dog." And in that letter, she asked her mother to lie for her and sent that, attempted to send that to her mother. But the COs found it. And that evidence wasn't admitted to the trial. So if you want to hear that, if you go into the description box down below, you can go to either my Spotify or Apple podcast and watch or listen to that.
Does he have any history of illicit drug use or anything in the past year?
no, never.
Well, I'll explain to you what the process is right now. Because he was in good health and his age and everything like that. Okay. Our medical examiner is going to come and do their investigation real quick, and then also our detective, just to make sure that everything's documented, correctly. And then from there, they'll explain to you what's going to happen. Most likely, what I'm thinking, because he has no serious health problems or anything like that. His age, most likely, they're going to take his body to the
Oh my God.
medical examiner's office just to make sure that there wasn't anything else.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for me right now?
No. He had allergy shots yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what she was saying.
Last night when I was here.
What kind of allergy shots?
It's weekly shots.
Him and his boy get weekly shots.
So we were both just feeling good.
Like seasonal allergies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Minutes later, Eric Richins' sister, Katie, arrives.
What happened? We don't know. We went to bed.
One thing before we get too deep into Eric's sister's recording, one thing that happened before Eric's death, Eric went to his sister and said that if anything happens to me, Kouri did it. So what ended up what happened before this event, Eric suspected that Kouri was trying to poison him. There was an event that him and Kouri either made him a sandwich or got him his favorite sandwich for Valentine's Day, and gave him and allegedly put fentanyl in that sandwich. And Eric had an immediate reaction on the first bite. He broke out in hives. He had to give himself an EpiPen. He took Benadryl. And it was a major event, and suspected that Kouri poisoned him then. Told his sister, and then made his sister the beneficiary of his trust. Remember, there's a lot of themes of financial issues with Kouri. So he made Eric suspected that this was the motive and made his sister the beneficiary. So keep this in mind when his sister arrives, because she already is suspecting that there's some things that are going on with Kouri. I did in another video, I talked about how his brother-in-law and his sister were encouraging him to leave Kouri, to divorce Kouri. Gave him the brother-in-law testified that he gave Eric a divorce attorney's name information. So keep that in mind when the sister shows up with her demeanor and some of the things that happen when she shows up.
Clint's here. He's gonna help. Where are my boys?
The kids are in
Where's my brother?
He's in this room.
No.
Kouri, is there a way we could relocate your boys upstairs?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I'll tell her now. What? Wait, okay. Come on. Come on. See you. Bob, come on. Come on, Bob. Wait, I'll look at this. I love you so much. Come on, come on, sweetheart. Come on.
We're good now.
I can explain to her if you want to go.
I miss everything. I miss Chris, Will, everything. I miss Paris attorney. I miss everything.
We don't have to
Go
worry about
upstairs.
that kind of stuff right now.
Just with the boys. Go upstairs with the boys.
So you overhear the sister for a bit let the officers know that she's Eric, her brother's power of attorney over his will, because she suspects that something's going on. Obviously, her brother just passed away, and here in a second, we're going to see portions of her testimony that one of the things that she suspected that there was foul play was actually the way that Kouri was dressed. The fact that she had full pajamas on. She said they've had sleepovers and they've gone on family trips before, and Kouri has never had matching PJs. Ever. Never had her hair pulled back. Never looked presentable. So we're going to get into that here in a second, but some of she's obviously trying not to tip Kouri off, but you might notice her trying to get the officer's attention to let them know that she suspects something's going on.
I'm sorry. This is
No, it's all natural, okay? Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Okay. I can't breathe. Oh my God, I couldn't breathe. I just talked to him like a couple hours ago. He just woke up and he wasn't breathing.
I went to bed. I went down to bed because I'm a nightmare. So I went back in our room and he was breathing. And I just turned over to cuddle him, and his body was just so cold.
Gone a while.
So the only information I know from what the medical staff that was here is he was cold to the touch, okay, and it seemed like he was down for a while.
We went to bed. He was fine at 9:30. I mean, that's when I went to the bedroom with Ashton. I mean, so unless he went, like, I didn't hear anything. He didn't yell. He didn't say anything was wrong. And nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. Oh my God, this is not real. Nothing happened. Like, I didn't hear anything. And right across the room, like, if he was in pain, why didn't he yell?
It sounds like he wasn't.
I know, but I'm such a light sleeper, I couldn't have heard anything. I just couldn't have heard anything. If he just said Kouri, like, I would have.
Kouri Richins' defense team says that Eric Richins' family made Kouri the villain from the very beginning. So let's get to his family. You saw Eric's sister, Katie, in the body-worn camera footage. She testified for the prosecution.
When you walked into the home, what were your immediate observations of her?
So like I had told you, we had gone on plenty of family vacations together. Kouri had been on the family vacations with us. I walked in, I kind of flung through the door, and I saw Kouri standing on the other side of the staircase. She just shook her head at me. Sorry, guys, bear with me. I apologize. And I knew right then my brother was gone. And I fell to the floor. She stayed over there. I observed that she was not how she normally was when we would go on overnights. She was very well put together. She had a matching pajama-esque outfit on. Her hair was all done up. She wasn't crying like I was. She wasn't hysterical. Just
Keep in mind, this is the second person that mentioned her tears and the way that she cries. The first person was the EMT Nugent, and during the trial, he mentioned that her tears were fake, that her face was dry, that she wasn't actually crying. Now and these two don't know each other.
stood there and shook her head no at me.
Katie then described how she felt Kouri's demeanor changed very quickly the morning that Eric died.
Did there come a time when Kouri Richins was consoling Ashton there and she was interrupted?
Yes. So Brianne Sorensen, which I believe was Ronnie, Kouri's brother's fiance at the time, I think they were engaged at the time, she came in to talk to Kouri. It was really interesting because Kouri was consoling, and then she immediately kind of stopped and focused on, they would call her Bree. And Bree started talking about the closing of the Midway mansion.
How did Kouri react to what Bree said?
Kouri was very businesslike, very telling Bree exactly what to do. And I was dumbfounded. And I looked at Kouri and said, you can't tell me you're going to close on that Midway mansion when my brother just died. And she looked at me matter of fact and said, yeah, absolutely. He has nothing to do with it. The money's already gone through. It's all my business. I'm going to.
Eric Richins' father, Eugene Richins, also testified.
Did there come a time in the early morning of March the 4th, 2022, when you received a phone call about Eric?
I did. Yes.
Who called you?
Kouri did.
What did she tell you?
She said that Eric wasn't breathing.
Where, sir, were you when you received that call?
I was at my home.
Is that the ranch?
Yes,
Is it in Hennifer?
it is.
What did you do next?
I got over there as quickly as I could.
During that morning, what, if anything, did Kouri Richins say to you?
You know, I don't recall her saying much of anything to me.
He also discussed a later conversation with Kouri.
Did there come a time later when Kouri Richins told you what caused Eric's death?
There was. I can't tell you the exact date, but it was between Eric's funeral and when the medical examiner had declared what he had passed away of. And she called me and said that she had just talked to the medical examiner and they had determined that he died of the same thing Linda did and COVID.
And Linda was your wife, right?
Linda was my wife, yes.
What, sir, caused your wife's death?
She had an issue with fungus in her lungs. Help me again.
Sure.
Where were we?
What, if anything, struck you about Kouri Richins telling you that Eric died of the same thing that Linda died of?
Well, as I said, I called my daughter, Katie. Katie, in turn, called the medical examiner, and they had never received a call from Kouri. They had not even released the results from it yet.
The medical
So I don't know if you picked up what he was putting down. So something that I don't think is common knowledge with this case is that Eric's mother, Linda, passed away. She had some sort of fungus in her lungs, and Kouri told Eric's father that Eric died of the same thing that his mother died of, and that this was the medical examiner's report, when in reality, Kouri had never actually had a conversation with the medical examiner. And not only that, the medical examiner was not even complete. Medical examiner had not completed their report yet. So going back to something I said earlier in the video where I said that people's behavior after the fact really is very telling of what their true intentions are. When you look at everything else that we've mentioned, everything else that we've talked about already, what would be the reason for her to call and say this to the father, for her to call, especially when he's grieving not only the loss of his wife, but also the son? What would be the reason of giving this form of deception? What would be the reason to say that you had a conversation that you really didn't actually have? If there's nothing to hide, then why is there things hidden? If there's nothing to deceive, then why is there deception? Let's get back into it.
examiner testified about her determination about Eric Richins' cause and manner of death.
Okay, so what was your opinion of the cause of death?
My opinion of the cause of death was drug intoxication by fentanyl.
What opinion did you come to with regards to manner of death?
Could not be determined.
Okay, now let's talk about.
So I want to circle back to the opening statements because this is where if you rewind, or if you go back to the beginning, the opening statements of the defense that said that that Eric's cause of death was undetermined, that's not true. It was undetermined of how he got fentanyl. They know how he died. He died of fentanyl. There was no question about that. What they don't know the manner, if it was injected, if he did it intentionally, or if he was poisoned, or where it came from. And she's going to get into a little bit more detail about also why she said undetermined as well.
That determination is guided by a statutory scheme, is that true?
Yes, we have classifications that it's divided into, and basically it's for statistical purposes. It's not really designed for other purposes per se. And so we're limited to natural, accident, homicide. I'm just blanking here.
Suicide?
It's suicide, and then undetermined as well. And so because this investigation was still ongoing when I retired, I felt that could not be determined was the best solution for me to finish my report before I retired.
The jury.
So she knew that there was an ongoing case with this, and so she ultimately wanted to, even though she knew that the reason for the death was fentanyl, she wanted to allow for the case to continue, for the investigation to continue, because she wasn't sure if it was murder or not. She wasn't sure if it was murder, if it was intentional suicide, intentional overdose, and so she was no longer going to be on the case. So she wanted to keep the case open. So it's whether it was done intentionally or unintentionally, obviously the defense has a job to do. But in that opening statement of saying that it was undetermined, I think that is a little misleading for the defense to say that to the jury, when in reality, they know how Eric died.
We also heard from a crime scene technician who testified about her processing of the scene. The defense was specifically interested in a pill bottle for an opioid prescription, hydrocodone.
So what happened to the hydrocodone bottle that was sent with the body of the decedent?
It's under the medical examiner's office protocol to keep that until they're done.
So you don't have that bottle?
I do not know.
So all we have is a picture of that bottle?
Correct.
So it has never been taken for testing by you to anyone?
Correct.
So if there was fentanyl residue in that empty pill bottle from 2016, we won't know it because you never took it to be tested, right?
I was never given the bottle.
So this case is expected to go on for several weeks, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With all that being said, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload new video. I upload new videos on this channel frequently, give my thoughts and reactions to different events that are happening on true crime. Also, be sure to go description box down below, subscribe to my Substack so you can stay updated not only on this case, but other cases that I talk about as well. With all that being said, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. You guys have a good one.